Good afternoon. The West Indian Association, Bermuda, wishes to provide an update on its continuing fundraising campaign aimed at promoting financial support to specific projects within Caribbean countries affected by Hurricanes Irma and Maria, and others who may suffer hurricane damage before the end of the season. The West Indian Association recognizes with thanks and acknowledges the support of the government of Bermuda of our fundraising efforts, as evidenced by the presence here today of long-standing West Indian Association member and currently acting Premier Minister of Finance, but in his substantive portfolio, Minister of Transport and Regulatory Affairs, Walter Roban, who is himself of Caribbean heritage, since his mother has Kittian ancestry and his father is from St. Vincent. The West Indian Association wishes to remind the public that while the devastation wrought by these hurricanes has been extensive, the hurricane season still has some time left, and it's already proving to be an active one. I also want to take the opportunity to also indicate the presence of the West Indian Association's president, Mr. Damian Brewster, and also management committee members, Ms. Chandra Prasad and Ms. Asha Vidal. The West Indian Association, which has been in existence since 1977, has a long history of fundraising and providing support to Caribbean countries affected by forces of nature, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and flooding. Immediately in the wake of disasters such as those which have occurred in the Caribbean, and those most recently wrought by Hurricane Maria in Dominica, as media reports unfold, there has been an immediate response to provide evacuation to residents, provide emergency housing and essential supplies and medical services to those affected. We are heartened by the many efforts underway in various sectors of the local community, from governmental support through the deployment of a Bermuda Regiment contingent who bravely put themselves in harm's way to provide immediate assistance in Turks and Caicos, to private sector, charities, and community organizations who are involved in providing varying kinds of assistance. West Indian Association strategy has historically been targeted towards more medium and long-term objectives, in that while we continue to liaise with those who are on ground or those who are already involved in immediate rescue and assistance, our focus in the short term is on fundraising activities, the proceeds of which we donate directly into specific projects related to rebuilding communities, health and education projects. With the 2017 hurricane season slated to last well into November, we will make another assessment of the status of all countries affected, including continuing relief and rebuilding efforts which are underway at the end of the season, to identify those countries which would most benefit from our help, and identify also community partners for direct transition of donations to specific projects, which we can then monitor and provide feedback to those who have made donations. Accountability is something which we take very seriously in the West Indian Association. We launched our Caribbean Relief fundraising campaign, Give from the Heart, with our Caribbean Summer Cruise, which was held on Saturday, the 28th of September. We wish to extend our sincere gratitude to all those who attended this event, which was sold out in advance, for their support. We also wish to extend thanks to our sponsor for the event, Bermuda Security Group, with special thanks to Bermuse and Inter-Island Communications, who assisted with free advertising. Feedback we've received from those who attended suggests that a good time was had by all in supporting this fundraiser. All the events planned for this year are a telethon slated for the 12th of October, a family fun day slated for the 5th of November, and Christmas Around the Caribbean, which is slated for the 9th of December. As is our custom, attendees can expect that every one of these activities will have a Caribbean flair, and again, we look forward to the support. We are also exploring areas of support and collaboration with government and other community partners. And again, we are grateful for the tangible support which has already been extended by the presence here today of the Acting Premier, Walter Raban. We will provide a further update on these initiatives in the near future. We would also like to thank everyone who has already made donations to our account. Our account information is Bank of Bermuda, 2000, Bank of Butterfield, 2000-6060-870030-200, and all those who have taken the time to contact us to volunteer. Time and/or services. Together, we will be able to make a lasting impact on those in the Caribbean who so desperately need our assistance. We can be contacted also by email at wiabda@hotmail.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We look forward to your continuing support.
Can you perhaps give a ballpark of how much has been raised so far?
We're not in a position to actually indicate final figures yet, because we're still in the process of tallying the Saturday's fundraiser. But we will be releasing that information shortly, I would imagine in the next week.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. The Minister also has a few words to say. Are there any other questions before I hand over to the Minister?
Thank you, Ms. Moore. And I would just like to extend my gratitude on behalf of the government and people of Bermuda to the West Indian Association for taking up the initiative to begin a relief effort on behalf of our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. I think even well beyond the presence of the West Indian Association, which has been in place since 1977, Bermuda's own connection with the Caribbean extends through her whole history as a settlement. That settlement in 1609, every century there has been certainly some part of our activity in life, whether it be the crops that were planted here in Bermuda, the trade upon which we relied, and the people who would come and settle ultimately. There's a diverse mix of people who are connected with the Caribbean. So we should see the Caribbean as our brothers and sisters, not just as other territories to the south. And we feel it is just a natural extension of who we are, and that the effort to assist should be seen as something natural. As has been stated, the Bermuda Regiment contingent has already been sent to one particular jurisdiction, I believe Turks and Caicos, and they are currently there. And they've obviously had to weather through another hurricane after Irma to still be there and doing the work that they've been sent. And I'm sure that Minister Keynes, Minister of National Security, can perhaps give the media an update on their progress in their activities. But I stand here as support for these efforts by the West Indian Association, and we encourage the public to support these efforts in any way you can. Reach out to the association, find out how you can help, and they can link you with information that if you are wondering how you can help, or certainly what agencies are available for you to extend any assistance you can. I would also encourage people to go online and go to the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency website, which has regular updates of what's happening with the storms and what has happened to the different jurisdictions, if you want an up-to-date information on what is happening in the region. But we again stand with the West Indian Association in supporting the effort, and we extend our request to every citizen of Bermuda and everyone who's living here to remember how blessed we are and how grateful we should be for the situation that we're in. And we have not faced an Irma or a Maria up to this point. But we should help. It's important that we help those persons who have. Thank you.
Just to clear, man, because I do have St. Kitts and Save Roots. My question is not just financial assistance. Are you going to upload and drive? Because as we've seen in some of the international media reports, that some places have lost just about everything. And so one lady
A clothing drive is not something that we are focusing on because, as you would be aware, there are already, as I've alluded to in my statement, several private sector as well as community efforts which are going on in that regard. For instance, there was recently Herd Chapel, I believe, which had a clothing drive and which sent clothes and things of that sort down. And there are lots of other community partners and private sector responses within the community. Our target is our target. We try not to spread ourselves by replicating the efforts of others. What we do in these circumstances is that we are a repository of any information as to also activities which may be going on in areas that we are not covering, and we assist by actually publishing that on our media and website, on our Facebook and other media outlets that we have. So we support in that way, but our focus is more on reconstruction. Health is a very big issue because when you have disasters which are of this magnitude with infrastructure, one of the most important and basic requirements is water. If you have no water and you have no clean facilities, very often there follows issues of health. And so therefore, just to give an example of past assistance that we have rendered, like St. Vincent a couple of years ago had serious flooding in St. Lucia. We met with community partners within those countries, and we were able to provide not even just aid packages, but that was by giving them the money, because the cost of having to get things from here to other countries, that is money that we could actually be sending directly into the community. So we don't focus on trying to get involved in the activities of others. What we try to do is to make sure that 100% of the funds goes towards designated, reputable community projects which are going on in these countries so that we can be sure that they directly receive it. And what we found is that the response is very good in terms of their giving us an account of how the monies that we have received from the public in Bermuda, not only how those monies were spent, but 6 months down the line or a year down the line, we may get photos of the community. For instance, where we do rebuilding projects, we funded that. When you see the actual projects go up and people live, it's nice to be able to get that kind of feedback, to be able to tell people, well, this is where your money went. Because we'll be coming back again and again, because our mandate, one of our mandates is to continue to support and to rally and organize support for relief efforts in the Caribbean.
So Rebecca, can you tell us anything more about what the Bermuda government is doing to support relief efforts beyond just the volunteer regiments?
Well, other than the regiment, there has been some discussion about funding options, but I'll leave that to the proper Minister of Finance to present to the country as to what the government's options will be there. But we just want to make sure at this point that we are supporting organizations like the West Indian Association in their initiatives, and any who wish to provide support, that they know they have our support, and if there are things that we can do on island to promote activities that will then generate further support, we will work with those organizations to do so. Perhaps a facility that is government-owned might, for an event, might be some way that we can ensure that they have availability for that or access to hold an event that will be beneficial to their fundraising efforts. Those are the ways that we'd like to immediately see that we can work with the West Indian Association and others to promote what we want to see happen.
And obviously there are a lot of efforts right now to try to help the Caribbean community at this moment. What efforts are being made to sort of coordinate all of these together so that we get the maximum usage?
Well, we believe that the West Indian Association can be one partner in that with others. Their experience with sort of doing these efforts over the years shows that they have been a good vehicle organization to coordinate what is done in the community. They also have partners that they've worked with, like the gentleman who works in Haiti. They work with him to make sure that support in Bermuda gets to some of the projects, because he's on the ground, and those people who have experience on the ground, the association here can work with others in Bermuda to make sure that whatever they're doing gets to those people on the ground in as high a percentage of value than than it can. So we would encourage any organization out there that wants to do something, contact the West Indian Association, because they can help coordinate and make sure that what you're doing is effective.
If I may just add, you would recall that the West Indian Association was involved at the national level in organizing telethons in the past. We had Tahiti with Love, which we organized about, I believe it was probably about 4 years, 2010. We did that, and we had the Caribbean Relief Telethon that we did. So again, mileaging, getting together with a lot of government support, we were the national leaders in terms of coordinating the efforts and then making sure that the funds went directly to agencies that might be able to assist. So over time, given our level of experience in doing these things, we have found different partners and more effective ways of getting the monies directly into communities rather than through channels where administration fees or other fees may go. So because we've developed that expertise, we're usually the first people that people will contact for this effort, and our efforts are ongoing because it's part of our mandate for the association, that in helping Bermuda to relate to and to always be mindful of its history, the deep, deep roots in this community in terms of the Caribbean, it's also a way of continuing that connection by current assistance and support, whether it's in this way, whether it's in the events that we have which deal with food. We found that that's been very popular, so our Christmas around the Caribbean will focus on Christmas food that is particular to all the Caribbean countries so that Bermudians can have a flair and taste. So things like that. It's all part of our wider mandate.
I'd just like to add one thing. It's also important that people remember that in our own times of crisis, Caribbean people, our brothers and sisters, have come here to help us through Fabian, through Emily in the 1980s. Caribbean personnel with expertise came and assisted Bermuda in her own recovery. So it is fitting that we do what we can because we've received the benefit of their talent when they saw us in need as well. So I think it's a fair and easy effort on our part should be to do what we can.
And I also want to remind people that Bermuda is actually an associate member of CARICOM. So there again, another tie.